This is your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Friday, August 28. Residents in the quiet community of Greenpoint, St. Philip are shaken by the tragic death of one of their own. 42-year-old Tanya Greenidge was confirmed dead by police at her home this morning. A male was also taken from the residence to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Greenidge, the daughter of Barbados' Consul General in Miami, Naval Greenidge, has been described as loving and friendly. Police have launched a homicide investigation.
Police personnel at District C Police Station received a report via telephone. The person indicated that there were two bodies at a residence here in Greenpoint Development in St. Philip, and those two bodies appeared to be deceased. Police naturally responded immediately, and upon arrival we were appointed to a particular area at the said residence, where we did confirm the sighting of two individuals, one male, one female. Subsequent to that, the ambulance personnel was summoned, and they quickly arrived as well, and they checked for signs of life. One person, the male, he was taken away. There was a sign of life from him, and he was taken away by ambulance personnel to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital for medical attention. Unfortunately, there was no sign of life of the female, who's still here at the scene. We are immediately launched a homicide or natural death investigation.
2 months ahead of its fourth review of the Barbados Economic Recovery and Transformation Program, the International Monetary Fund is giving the country a passing grade for the progress it has made thus far. In fact, following a special request by government for the IMF to discuss the implementation of BERT, the fund's mission chief to Barbados, Bert Van Selm, said, despite the challenges associated with the COVID-19 pandemic, the island continues to make good headway in executing its reform agenda. He added that good progress is also being made towards implementing structural reform under the Extended Fund Facility. These include benchmarks related to tax and customs administration and a revised central bank law that is expected to be ready to go to Parliament in September. The Ministry of Education today wrapped up talks with the nation's teachers on the proposed return to school next month. Today, teachers from the country's nursery schools and special needs institutions got their chance to share their views. Some teachers who opted not to speak on camera told Barbados Today they were satisfied with the talks. Some voiced support for a blended approach to school, that is, a mixture of face-to-face instruction and online learning. They, however, stressed the need for greater access to technology. Meanwhile, the Barbados Union of Teachers says it will continue negotiations with the ministry on the matter. Union President Pedro Shepherd says they are committed to ensuring that the reopening of schools is safe for all parties involved. An education expert is suggesting that the introduction of a middle school and a full zoning system may be two possible options to help Barbados resolve some of the issues in its education system. Professor Emeritus at the Institute of Education of the University of Plymouth in the United Kingdom, Gary Hornby, who lives in Barbados, has suggested that some secondary schools be transformed into middle schools and others be academic or specialist schools to which primary school students are transferred, based not on an 11+ exam but on their geographical location. He was speaking at the University of the West Indies St. Augustine Campus Virtual Symposium entitled, Will the 11+ Selection and Placement Always Be Part of Our Future?
All pupils at age 11 would transfer to the high schools nearest to their homes, where they live. And basically any assessment data from the primary school would simply be used to make sure they're in mixed ability classes in the high school that they go to, and also to identify children with special needs who need learning support. And I'll say a little bit about more of that later. So there would be available academic and vocational curriculum in the first 3 years as pertains now. All the secondary schools now in Barbados teach academic subjects, plus they have a vocational curriculum, which is given more emphasis in the lower rated secondary schools, but it's there. So that would obviously there'd be emphasis on that vocational curriculum in the first 3 years, and then from year 4 onwards, the last 2 years of secondary school could be children who were chosen to follow a CXC curriculum, the academic route, or children that would follow a vocational curriculum and take CBQs.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional news now, in Trinidad and Tobago, the House of Representatives has passed the bill to make the wearing of masks mandatory. It will now head to the Senate.
Failure to wear a mask, for instance, will attract, by way of first offense, $1,000 in respect of the breach, by way of second offense to $2,000, and by way of third offense to $5,000. After that, you are looking instead to the arrestable offenses.
On the international front, thousands of people took part in a march in Washington on Friday to denounce racism on the anniversary of the march in 1963, where civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. made his historic "I Have a Dream" speech.
There are two systems of justice in the United States. There's a white system and there's a black system. The black system ain't doing so well. But we're going to stand up.
Less than a week after police officers shot his son, Jacob Blake, multiple times in front of his children, Jacob Blake Sr. told thousands gathered on the National Mall in Washington, D.C., that he would hold court on systemic racism.
Racism against all of us. Guilty! 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 Guilty!
Family members who lost loved ones, activists, and politicians gathered Friday to denounce racism on the anniversary of the March on Washington in 1963, in the same place where civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. made his historic "I Have a Dream" speech.
Black Lives Matter!
A massive crowd moved from the Lincoln Memorial to the Martin Luther King Memorial, many holding signs that said, "Black Lives Matter" and "Racism is our longest plague."
You might have killed the dreamer, but you can't kill the dream.
Reverend Al Sharpton and his National Action Network organized the event, first announced at the funeral of George Floyd, a black man who died this year when a white police officer knelt on his neck for nearly 9 minutes.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.